Okay, folks. So we're hoping that we can get it to work now. We were trying to get it to work. We're going to get some people, let some people come into the chat and enter in. Hey, Zane, can you hand me one of those, like, health bars, whatever they are in there? Because I'm feeling faint as hell. I feel like I'm going to pass out and I haven't eaten today. I got up early today and just been going, dealing with these people, nightmare people. But what I want to talk to you about, though, and like I said, I'm going to say this one more time, and then I'm going to shut up about it. This may be the end for us. We may not be. Thank you. We may not be doing this anymore. This may be our last night in the studio. We had until tomorrow morning. And I'm so sorry I got to eat. I haven't eaten anything, and I'm starting to feel weird. You want to take over for a minute so I don't chew in everybody's face?
Yeah. So yeah, as it stands right now, our decision is that we can't entertain the possibility of just coming back on a regular schedule until this whole debacle is over. So the sooner it's over, the better. But regardless, I mean, we need a break. You know, we need a break from all this crap. I mean, it puts a lot on my plate, on Wolf's plate, on Nellie's plate, and it really kind of put things in perspective for us. I mean, like I knew how much some of you really loved and appreciated the show that we did, but whenever y'all reached out to us with your personal stories of some of the things that y'all have been through and how you have used this show as kind of like a virtual camaraderie, a source of camaraderie, and that it's helped you through depression, through some very very bad thoughts of self harm. Um, we had one listener say that her father was in a coma, which by the grace of God he's out of that coma now. But that the way she would when she would visit him, she would play the show on her phone with him, and it was kind of like her way of spending time with him. And now they're both listeners. To me, this was this show that we did for fun. You know, it was something that we did because a lot of people liked it, and we wanted to fill a niche that we felt like no one was filling. But to some of y'all, it seems like the show meant more to y'all and was like more valuable to y'all than it even was to me. And that's an incredible thing because it's like it just took on a life of its own. You know, I mean, y'all breathe life into it. And I mean, yeah, we make the content, but it's hard to articulate. We don't make it what it is. Y'all make it. Y'all make it, have made it, and will continue to make it what it is. I mean, even when we're not putting our shows out there, you know, indefinitely, we're gonna not, you know, we're just not gonna put new episodes out there for a while. I don't know how long that's gonna be, but I know that the community that y'all are still going to be there because we didn't create y'all. You know, y'all are your own people, but you're all on the same page, and it's just it's hard for me to put it into words, but suffice it to say, thank you all so much. We're so very grateful for your time above all things, for your appreciation, for your patience. Um, I, I I just can't thank y'all enough.
Well said. And like I'm not going to take up much more time with all this stuff we have to get going on the show. This may be, it may or may not be the last show we do for a while. We don't know. The studio is, we told them we were leaving, and that was it. So I don't want to do this flippy floppy, wishy washy thing. But when you're dealing with somebody, some people like this situation, and they're so unstable, they are unstable people. Okay, doing mean and nasty things for whatever reason. Okay, I don't know what, you know. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. I could have walked away. I could have not said anything. I could have just not helped my friends. I could have, after his mother got on the phone with me and told me what a good boy he was, I could have just said, okay, that's cool, and let it go, and then let him tee off on Abe and Bettina. But I didn't do that, and I couldn't do that, and I wasn't going to do that. I knew the truth, and I knew what he had done. And these people doing what they do, they're going to pay for what they've done. Whether it's here now or in the next life, and this one man in particular that came to his aid just to make a point. Do you stop and think about the evil that you unleash on this world? Do you stop and think about the racism and the sexism that you just promoted? Does he stop and think about any of these things or the people that this guy is hurting in his own family? He doesn't. He doesn't care. All he cared about was some ridiculous vendetta against Vault and John Bell. Didn't give a crap what I told him or what I did. It wasn't going to matter. The time for talking with this individual is long past. Now, he can make, if you guys know of any of these screenshots, whatever, if he starts laying them out there, I'm going to put them all out there. I'm gonna lay it all out there. And you guys can see, just like you saw with Janice Blake, I'm not the bad guy. While they pick and choose, what?
I was just gonna say it's ironic how he wants to call you emotional when the very decision to support this toothless hillbilly,
this villain,
was based on his emotions towards Vault.
Mm-hmm.
That in and of itself was an irrational and emotional decision, consumed by his own hatred towards Vault and
John Bell.
Yeah, and John Bell. So don't sit here and act like you're Epictetus, if you even know who that is, or Marcus Aurelius. You're just in control of your emotions. No, you make emotional decisions, and this one cost you. You're not as smart as you think you are.
Well, he thinks he's Machiavellian.
Yeah.
You think you're the Mac Daddy, and you think you're some sort of gangster. We've already gone through that. We're not going to get into it. You ain't nothing, dude. I'll beat you in any arena you want to play, and I'm going to do that. One thing I'm going to tell you, though, folks, before we move on. Remember, fake numbers, Social Blade. Look up Social Blade. These people are using fake subs. They are not the big, powerful channels they pretend to be. All of them are lying. They're all fake. Okay? My numbers are real. Real people. They're learning that. Going up against me with the fake, pretend, versus the real people who are doing the real things. These are bad people pretending and doing bad things. We're real people doing good things. That's the difference, and that's why we're going to win. Okay? Anyways, so I got some stories here. This one was really interesting, and I wanted to tell this one for a while, but then all hell broke loose because, whatever. Children being kids. And this was about a granny witch. And what's crazy is this one was sent to us by Avery, and she said that when she was a child, that's the name we're going to give her. That's I'm not going to tell you whether it's her first or last name, because she believes this stuff is very real, and I believe it is too. And one of the things that she did was she told me a story. Well, a story about a grandmother, or I guess it would be her mom's, her great grandmother, who was a granny witch. Now, if you don't know what that is, we've talked about them before on the show. It's something that's very prominent in the Appalachian area. This was in Virginia, in the Appalachians. And what she said was that her grandmother had to fend off an attack from two different creatures. And I thought this was one of the most interesting stories. There was a granny witch that went by the name of Leslie, okay, where she was at. And what this woman did was she gave her grandmother a soup. Now, this wasn't her great grandmother. She gave her grandmother a soup when she was ill, and she drank it or ate it, whatever, and it made her better.
Uh-huh.
This was their neighbor, and everybody was like, "This Leslie person is a witch. They're a witch. They're a witch." Well, when her grandmother's mother got sick, now, her grandmother's mother lived to be. This is what she said. Get this, 112 years old.
Wow.
Now I had a great grandmother that lived to be 107. But let me tell you something. That's a long
Yeah.
time.
It's like Book of World Records old.
Yeah, it was old. She said, and there were people that up in those Appalachian mountains that they never ate anything processed. They never ate any, and they lived to be a long time, like old. And these certain people would live. They would use what the earth gave them, and they would use it to clean their mouths and their bodies and stuff. And it was just they were healthy. And one thing she said, though, and I don't recommend this as a cure for old age, but she said that her grandmother took a shot of whiskey, moonshine, every day. One shot. She didn't do any more than that. She
Yeah.
woke up, she said every day she drank a little bit of vinegar, and then she took a shot of moonshine.
Well, everyone knows moonshine has essential vitamins and minerals.
It's got what plants crave.
Yeah.
It's
got electrolytes.
It's got electrolytes. So what's crazy, though, is that this woman, and this was crazy, she said she was attacked by not one but two creatures. It's a very interesting story, folks. And I if it was the last thing I ever did, I have to tell you the story. This one's crazy. What I thought was interesting about this whole ordeal with her grandmother, the grandmother was altruistic and was nice. And whenever her mother got sick, the witch, which everybody said she practiced black magic. She wasn't a good person, according to them. She was responsible for the deaths of at least two people. She gave her this soup and said, "Take it to your mother." She knew that her mother didn't like her, but when she drank the soup and she was really sick, and the mother said, "Oh my gosh, don't ever drink anything that woman gives you again." But it worked. It worked, right? So she took that soup and she took it back to her mother. The lady that told us the story, this would have been her grandmother giving the soup to her mother. So that would have been her great-grandmother. She gave the soup to her great-grandmother. The great-grandmother got really, really sick, like sicker, and began to throw up. And when she vomited this black sludge. That's how the bile looked. So it's really crazy when you stop and you think about this. She said it was weird that when she threw up this black bile or sludge or whatever, that it moved. Like it all came together and it was and then it slid under the door and was gone.
Just like a little alien parasite in there.
Yeah, this black goo. We've talked about this with other podcasters and researchers too,
like a symbiote.
authors. What she took, though, she took some sort of combination of castor oil, which is disgusting, and then she drank some sort of vinegar, mixed with a little bit of moonshine, and some sort of like herbal remedy that she had created. And it made her, I think it was probably like some sort of syrup of ipecac type thing, whatever. And it made her expel the soup, but the soup had turned black. Right? So whenever this happened, whatever this was, it went up underneath the door and was gone. Like it was the weirdest thing. It was disgusting. Thank you, Kate Hunter, for that donation. We appreciate it, especially right now with the battles we're facing. But it really disturbed me. What really disturbed me was what happened afterwards. The next day, her and her brother, this is her grandmother, and her grandmother would have been her great uncle, the one that was telling the story. They went outside to chop wood. And this is something that her mother had to do because their dad had passed away. He died mysteriously, and a lot of people claim that it was because of the work of this Leslie person. So she got in good with her, used her as a, hey, look, I helped you. Give this to your mom. The mother was not stupid, so she got rid of that and spit it out. chastised her daughter and said, "You should know better, never to deal. I told you never deal with this person, no matter what. Even if I'm dying, you don't deal with her. She works with the devil." That's what she told her.
Mm-hmm.
They go outside. Get this: the black goo was there on one of the trees. Not at the base of the tree, and just like it slithered out. It was on one of the trees, and it was bubbling, like moving. Her brother Carl went up to the tree with an axe and tried to hit it to see what would happen. Now he's a 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
16-year-olds are known for making great decisions. I know I did when I was that age. He hits this thing, and it literally grabs a hold of his axe and pulls it into the tree. So then he starts trying to pull it off. Can't do it.
Light it on fire.
That I was about to say.
You
I was
did
about
it?
to say that was the next thing they were going to do. They tried lighting it on fire, and it just burned, and it didn't do anything. They tried doing all kinds of things, and then the mother who was inside, who was still very ill, came out and told him, "What are you doing? Leave it alone. Don't mess with it." One of the neighbors, they went and got one of the neighbor men to come that was very friendly with the widow. He came up, and I think that he eventually became like her, like there was a relationship there or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a widower, so he came up, and he was a good friend of the family's. And one of the things he said, "Dude, there's no water, fires, nothing you can do to get rid of this. I've seen this before, and this thing is a haint, as they would call it.
Just put it in a mason
Holler
jar.
haint, as they call it. Do what?
Put it in a mason jar or something. and-
No, it was big. It was like,
Oh, okay.
according to her, it was like the size of a small dog or whatever, like a
Ugh.
big dog. Not big dog, like a medium. She said it was like the size of a mid-sized dog. And this thing was taking form. They could see something like legs starting to fall off of it, coming down off of it, and it was growing. And then the next day, it was gone. This thing they saw in the corner of their eye when they would be out gathering, whatever, roots and doing whatever they were doing, or walking through the woods, they would see something small in the corner of their eye kind of darting around. This thing that was given to them by this witch, this Trojan horse, so to speak, started to take a life of its own. And one of the things she told me was that this thing began to grow and become like a being. Now, as crazy as this sounds, we have heard stories like this before. Now, I think it was Jerry and Ella that talked about the black goo
I believe
on
so.
the show, yeah. And we've gotten stories of black goo. A lot of people don't like talking about this, because it doesn't fit the narrative. Because this is weird. It doesn't fit into their little reality of whatever. This is why we're here, to talk about these things, to bring these to light. Because the cryptid community has part of the puzzle. You know who's got the other puzzle? The alien community. You know who's got another part of the puzzle? Ancient civilizations. You know who's got the other part? The ghost community. We're all one. We're cousins, brothers, whatever. We need to be working together to figure this out. That was my job, to bring us all together. Okay? I'm going to tell you that. That was my goal, to destroy compartmentalization. But there are so many people that are entrenched in this community that want to charge you for their fake, fraudulent content. And they don't want to put all the pieces together, and they don't want to say anything that changes the narrative that they're trying to spin to you. They don't care about you. I'm trying to tell you, we need to work together. That's why these conferences are important. That's why these books that these people write are important. That's why all of this stuff that we talk about is important. This story right here, there's other stories like this all throughout history. You need to understand what we're dealing with, okay? I can't tell you 100% what we're dealing with, but one day we may know. We may know what we're dealing with. We may know what this is. It's all connected, folks. This stuff, whatever it was, took on the form, get this, of a hairy, bipedal creature. Something that was given to her to drink, to heal her. Took on the form of a bipedal creature. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if somebody is suspected of being something like that, and they were suspected, this is a foolish kid. She was like a 14 or a 13-year-old kid. Didn't know any better. Gave it to her mother. God only knows what would have happened to her mother if she had kept that in her body. All right, but she didn't. She had the discernment to get rid of it and get it out of her body. Now, she practiced a type of granny witch, but it was like, herbs, medicine type things like that. Really didn't do many in the way of spells or anything like that. Her great-grandmother would use energy. She would heal people by putting hands on them and praying. As this thing grew, they would see it on occasions. It took on the form, get this, it took on the form of a Bigfoot-looking creature. And she said it looked like a Bigfoot. They had seen these creatures before. This creature, whatever it was, looked human-like, ape-like, but it also had a little bit of a snout. Now, we have talked about this before, and we call it the gugwi. But that's what it looked like. And it got bigger and bigger. Every time they saw it, it was bigger, and it was solid black, and all you could see were the red glowing eyes of this thing. And I could tell you right now, I believe that this was a demonic entity. This thing needed a body. It needed a host. It wanted to use a host. It wanted a person. One of their neighbors went missing one day. All they found of him was like tattered remains. I'm going to tell you right now, that's where it got the ability to be a solid being. That's what I believe. I believe up until then it was just like a soulless goo, sort of a wraith type thing. And I think that once it devoured someone, we don't know 100% because the person that told me the story doesn't even know if that person that went missing and then they found pieces or whatever. This was way back a long time ago because this person that told me the story is older than me, and this was her great-grandmother. But you got to understand something. These legends and stories go way back in the Appalachians. One thing I'm going to tell you is I believe this person. I think this person's grandmother that told her that was about her. It was the grandmother that told the story. She's deceased. She died a few years ago. But the thing that I'm going to, hey, West Coast Dogman Project, how about them Niners, huh? The Browns? Come on, really? Only like I can talk, but seriously. Hey, Shane, I'm joking with you, man. But the point is, this thing, whatever it was, became more aggressive and more violent, and they had 2 dogs. And one of their dogs was very protective of this woman's grandmother. Everywhere she went, the dog went with her. She went out one day in the spring. This was when she was 16. She had gotten older. It was about 3 years, and they had been seeing this creature, and it was running all over the woods doing whatever it did. She said that there were other creatures in these woods that weren't human. One she described as a troll-looking creature that would come up out of the base of a tree. Another one she described as a werewolf. And one day, she encountered 2 beings, 2 creatures. One she recognized as the short-snouted Bigfoot-type creature that she believes was created by Leslie the Granny Witch, the other witch. The other creature she saw looked distinctly like a wolf. It was on all 4 legs, and then it hopped up and began to walk like a man. What she said was these 2 creatures were actually communicating with one another. Her grandmother told her this. She said they were actually having a conversation in English, talking to one another with very guttural, demonic-sounding voices. This was no mind speak. This was them talking, having a conversation together. You understand what I'm saying? They turned, and they looked at her, and this part's kind of sad, and if you're easily disturbed, well, tune out. They ran toward her, both of them, together. Her dog didn't make it. The dog stood for her and covered her retreat, basically. She ran a good quarter mile down the road and back up the trail and was back in her property. Grandmother and her brother came out with the gun. Not her grandmother, her mother. And they prepared to defend themselves from this creature or creatures. The dog was killed, obviously. Here's a weird thing. They were working together. Now, the story gets a little weirder, too. One of the neighbors that lived about 3 miles away had taken ill. And his name was John. And what happened was, everything all right? So what happened was John hold on one second. Tony is. Yeah. Sorry, folks, it's work. Because we got so much work now, I'm having to deal with work. So, because I went in that direction instead of the show. These people have turned our lives upside down. So, can you close this door? Because I'm getting distracted, please. And so, what happened was, where were we at? Oh, there was a neighbor named John who got sick. Well, same thing happened. The daughter, who was ill, who had drinking this soup from this woman, chicken soup, just basic, whatever, gave it to her dad. Dad got deathly ill. The grandmother of the person that told me the story, which would have been, let's just put it this way, her great-grandmother, the good Granny Witch, she went to visit this guy with her boyfriend, who was a widower as she was a widow. And they went and they treated him. Same thing happened. Black goo, sludge came out, and it slithered out the window and was gone. Same thing happens. It grows and it changes and becomes whatever. So you get where I'm going with this, right? The story gets really interesting. What ends up happening with this goo, sludge, whatever it is, obviously it's creating these creatures, but there's something to this because she gets ill, she gets talked into drinking something or eating something. Then when her mother gets ill, she gives it to her, same thing she did to this other girl. So obviously this one person was getting everybody sick and then going, here's the cure. And then whenever they drank it, they were fine, they would get well, nothing happened. Then they give it to their whatever, and they become more sick to where they feel like they're going to die. That's because whatever was in it wanted their bodies. I think because they were bigger adults, whatever, and I think it could facilitate them being grown faster. That's my view, my belief. That's what I think was going on. I'm not telling you have to believe that or even believe the story. I'm just saying that's what I think was going on with this. What's even more messed up was when this woman was confronted, a bunch of people in the area got really upset. Hey, Truth, how you doing? And please, yes, hit the likes. What's even more messed up was when she was confronted, some of the guys in the area went to talk to this woman. What does she do? She meets them with more of these creatures. She was sitting on a stump in front of her house. 2 of them. One comes out from either side of her house. Beastly looking creatures. Now, I didn't get the descriptions of these, whether they were Bigfoot type creatures or Dogman type creatures, but they were definitely big, hairy, demonic looking, bipedal, humanoid creatures who came out and chased these men away. And then she whistled and they stopped. So she had control over these things. She had enemies. that didn't like her because they believed that she had poisoned them or poisoned their animals, done a lot of misdeeds. These creatures that they had seen, they knew that they were coming from somewhere. Now, there was a cave, and a lot of people believed that these creatures existed underneath this cave or down into the earth. And some people had claimed that they had seen this woman use a whistle, which they said was made of human bone, and that she could summon these things out of a cave. Now, this woman had 2 children who had gotten away from her and had left. One of them came back because he was smitten with a girl that lived in that area, and he was courting her and trying to get her to go run away with him. He told them that his mother, when she was young, was left in that cave to be a sacrifice, to die. And one of these creatures came out and befriended her and gave her an ability. And after that, she became friends with these creatures. This is what this woman told us, okay? She said that she became friends with these creatures. And she went back, and her parents, who were doing the bad stuff, whatever, started taking their orders from her. Because now she had these creatures to back her up. So these creatures were already there. But I think it became her job as appeasement or power. I don't know which or what. But her job was to create these things or give them a body. This isn't exactly what she told me, but this is what I believe is going on. I think that's what's happening. When this happened, what this woman did was horrible. I mean, messing with these demonic entities is a horrible thing. She started using them to terrorize people. She even went so far as to take someone's land by making one of these wolf-like creatures terrorize them, by ripping up their goat right in front of them and saying, that could be you. You better do what I tell you. And so she seized people's lands. There were people that were there in the hills making moonshine. She seized their stills. She was a terror. But nobody could do anything to her because she had a lot of powerful magic. She was sowing the seeds of discord everywhere. It was a very bad situation. With these creatures that she had, she could do anything. So one day, one of the guys that was being terrorized by these people, whose dad had died mysteriously, decided he was going to take matter into his own hands. And he laid in wait, and when she came out of her whatever, he shot her. But get this. She didn't die. She jerked around, flopped around, and then this is what she said, spider crawled back into her house. Through the window, he could see her changing into something that looked fur-like, or with fur and wolf-like. And then he took off, which I would too. Oh, but that night, this guy, she said his name was Kenneth, he paid the price. They came to his house, these creatures, all of them, and assaulted his house, trying to get in. For 3 hours, he was defending himself, shooting them, trying to stop them, whatever. What ended up happening the next day, he gets away. He got away. He clutched his Bible and he prayed and he prayed and he prayed and he prayed and he prayed. And he said that's what made him stop, was the prayer. And he said for some reason he just instinctively knew to throw salt all over the doors, the windows. He was pleading the blood of Christ. He was doing everything he could. The guns weren't working. They weren't helping. But that did, and that stopped him. When she got away, oh no, wait, let's see, it was the next day, she went back to this guy's house. He was gone. He burned his house down. Of course, it was a small hovel, but he burned it down to get away from him. And he went to live with this woman's great-grandmother's boyfriend. They were living together. He came and lived with them. Gradually, he took over that guy's house, and his buddy, or I think his name was Henry, he eventually went to go and stay permanently with her great grandmother. Now, the woman telling the story to me, that would have been her great grandmother, but her grandmother was the one telling her this story. So the grandmother said that one day she was left alone. Didn't happen very often, but her brother had to go to town with her mother, and they were gone. And she gave her this sort of like weird looking talisman with a cross on it, and she said to hang it above the door and everything will be fine. Well, sometimes, like I said before, teenagers don't listen and don't do what they're supposed to do. She hung it up on the door, and she went and started reading a book, doing whatever it was that she was doing, because she could read. A lot of people couldn't read, especially back then. But she could read. She went to school. Her brother couldn't. Now, he was illiterate. But she was reading. They only had 2 books. She was reading one of them. And she gets a knock at the door. And it wasn't like a bang, bang, bang. It was like a, hey, you know. Because I asked that question. I was like, why do you think she opened the door? She's like, it wasn't like somebody was banging and kicking on the door. They were just knocking, saying, hey. They used a voice that she recognized as a neighbor. Now, a smart person would have looked out the window and been like, I'm not opening that door. She's a teenager. You know? She goes up. She's like, who is it? And they're like, so-and-so down the road. The person telling me the story didn't know the name of the person. She opens the door. And standing right there in front of her is an 8-foot-tall werewolf-looking creature. And this thing spoke. It didn't use mind speak, according to the story. It didn't use mind speak. It didn't go, you know, hey, let's do this or that. It didn't use mental images, nothing like that. It basically just told her, let me in. And she was like, no. And then it took a step forward, and when it saw the talisman, like it kind of touched it, it backed off. The thing turned and kind of moved, and it saw what it was, and it backed off. Well, here's the messed up thing. When she saw that the talisman made it back off, instead of closing the door and trusting what her mother said, she grabbed it. When she grabbed it and started clutching it toward her chest, she backed away into the house. Then the thing was able to move into the house. And it went right up to her. Looking her in the eye, this thing began to talk to her and said, that thing is not going to help you. I'm going to eat you from your legs, and, you know, I'm going to start eating you, and parts of your body that thing is not touching. That's all it's going to do is protect whatever body. It was lying to her. It was lying. I used it as a way in. She held on to it, and eventually this thing lunged at her legs, like it said, and then she took it smartly and put it on its head. When she did, there wasn't any smoke or anything like that. Immediately, it made an indentation in the head, and this black goo came out. The black goo came out and scattered away from it, but it did come out of it and try to go towards her legs. So she jumped up onto the bed. At this point, this thing was flipping and flopping around, and stuff was spewing out of its head like an oil geyser. And eventually it ran out, spider crawling on 4s, out the door, and was gone. Her mother comes home, sees this big mess. This is the great-grandmother, the person telling me the story, and she's like, what did you do? She's like, I told you to leave that thing on the door. Don't answer the door. She's like, I thought it was so-and-so from down the road. I heard the guy's voice. She's like, they don't play fair. They pretend to be other people. That's what they do. At this point, she's chastising her, telling her she was foolish, and she's like, and then went off on her and said some really mean things, like, you caused this whole thing, you know, by, you know, you didn't listen, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't do any good to say all that. It's a done deal. It's just a kid, you know. You got to understand something. These are poor people. They're very poor. and most of them are illiterate. Now, she wasn't, but she wasn't the smartest person, and she admitted that to her daughter, who told this story to her granddaughter. She wasn't the smartest person. She was a child. Great-grandmother, very angry. So her great-grandmother had to do something drastic. She goes outside. This is kind of strange. She strips down into just having on a white nightgown, and she gets down and she begins to pray, holding this cross in her hand. When she began to pray, this is what's crazy. She sees 3 or 4 and then 5 or 6 of these creatures come toward her. And they're screaming at her to come inside, come inside. They couldn't open the door to go out. The door had been closed from the outside, and her boyfriend, the guy that she eventually ended up becoming engaged to and then married to, the widower, he was standing there. He put his hand up and he said, "Just trust your mother. She knows what she's doing." As these things came toward her, and this is what she said. She was praying in earnest to stop these creatures, and she was asking for God to deliver them. That when these things decided to get close, and these were weird-looking creatures, they weren't all the same. They didn't all look uniform. They were just like a pack of rabble, weird-looking, wolf-like, and then Bigfoot-like, and whatever. When they lunged at her, this white light came out from under the ground and from above her, and literally just kind of went boo, like across the whole landscape. And it pierced right through these creatures. The talisman that she had with the cross on it broke. When it did, she said it exploded in a way that it should have killed this woman, but it didn't. It just went out like a grenade and popped into all of these creatures, into their faces, into their heads, into their chests, and all this black goo started coming out of them, and they took off into the woods. She said over the coming days, hunters, moonshiners, everybody, they were coming across these dead creatures everywhere. And she's like, this is a story. She goes, this is what they said. These old timers, they stuck by this story. They actually believe this really happened. This is what they said, that this really happened. And Avery said, everybody in this area believed this. Now, you can believe what you want. You can think what you want. I don't know what the truth is of this story. I don't know if it's just a good story, but I've heard stuff like this before. So it makes you wonder, like, what is going on here? I believe that some of these people have abilities, and because they have this passed down knowledge that goes way back generations to all the way to the old countries, kind of mixed with like the Cherokee and the Chickasaw beliefs and all that, the Blackfoot, all that. It's all mixed together with native belief and then, of these creatures, native knowledge of these creatures, mixed with the old world beliefs. And I thought this story was very interesting, and I thought it was a very good one to tell because it has a good ending. But more than that, it talks about how the power of these people's beliefs and their convictions, they came together. This is what her grandmother told her. She said, I could never have defeated them by myself. And she's like, yeah, because God helped you. She says, not only did God help me, she's like, God in my heart spoke to me, and I had to go to each person and get something that they cherished. And each one of them made a small sacrifice. Poor people, very poor people. So any little bit of silver or gold or anything they had to trust this woman. And they had to each give a little bit to help stop this. And I thought, I was telling my crew, I was like, this story that this woman gave us is a very powerful story, and I believe it pertains a lot to what we're doing and dealing with right now. There are no coincidences, folks. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to come back and talk to you tonight and tell you that story. So if I don't ever tell another story on this show, that's the story I'm going to tell you. Now, they called her a witch. Now, I don't believe in witchcraft. I don't believe in doing witchcraft. I don't believe in anything like that, even though I've been accused of it now. Now, all of a sudden, I look satanic. My eyebrows look satanic, all this other weird crap. Okay, they're reaching, whatever. Thank you for that, Jitesh. Appreciate it so much. But this story struck a chord with me. Now, this story wasn't just given to me recently, so I'm not going to say, oh, it just came in at the perfect time and whatever. No, it was given to me a couple months back. But I was reminded by this woman. She said, hey, have you looked at my story? And I saw it. And all the messages, and I'm hundreds, folks, of messages on Messenger and on emails and all the different ways people can touch with me on Instagram. That one stuck out, and I noticed it, and I saw it, and I read it, and I thought, that is crazy. Not crazy in a bad way, like nuts, but just it's stuck with me. I was like, this is crazy. So I was talking to my friend, Arash, he's a good friend of mine, and I told him about this story, and I showed it to him. I said, what do you think of this? Because he was talking to me about all this crap that's going on, you know. And if there's one thing that's good that came out of this, I mean, me and Chief buried the hatchet, and because this crazy guy up in Oklahoma tried to get him to join his team and come after me and say bad things, and Chief came to his senses and was like, "No, this dude, I'm not gonna." He's like, "Me and you might have some beef, you know, fight beef with the fight game, whatever. It's just about schools and stuff like that." He's like, "But this guy, there's no way I'm gonna be, you know." So that if anything good came out of it, we as best friend, not best friends, but we were really close. You know, we buried the hatchet on all that. That's nothing compared to what's going on. So me and Arash were talking about Chief and the situation and whatever, and Arash played peacekeeper, and we talked and everything, and I'm gonna have Chief make me a hat because I was gonna wear it on the show because he makes cowboy hats, and so we were going over this story, and I told Arash, "What do you think of that? It's crazy," and he said, "Dude, it's very telling because of what you're going through right now." And he said it was like a message in there, you know. So I talked to this woman, and she gave me all the details. And she's like, I knew that I needed you to see this story. I know I get a lot of stories. And I told her, I said, a lot of people send me stories because my numbers are real. Look, 667 people in the chat. Those aren't fake people. Those are real people, folks. Real people talking, listening, doing whatever. It's not fake. There's no fraud there. I challenge any of those people to make a chat, a real one, a live stream. They can get 662 people. I challenge any of you, the people that are doing all this stuff, to make a live stream. Let's see how many people you got. Let's see the real numbers, folks. So what happened was this story, it was about everybody coming together and sacrificing a little bit for the greater good of their community, and that's what they did. This woman and her minions had terrorized them long enough. And nobody wants to go to war, and nobody wanted to fight these things. But that wasn't the end. I mean, it wasn't like everybody saying kumbaya and it was the end. No, Jesus Christ did not come back and do everything. So strife still exists. There were still problems. There was still a cave that had these creatures, the original creatures, in there. They weren't going anywhere. They were still there. It didn't make everything better and perfect. It made it better, but not perfect. The world's not perfect. The lesson, though, in that story, it spoke to me. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Work situation?
Yeah.
Sorry you had to keep getting up and dealing with it.
Yeah, it's all right.
But the moral, though, the lesson was there. And when I thought that, I read that, and I thought, this is... I'm not saying this is divine or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But the timing of it really is... It's fascinating to me. And I think that God works in the way that he works. When people ask the question, they said, well, why does God allow... Why did he allow this woman to do what she did? Why did he allow all this she did, all this the suffering to go on? I can't answer that, folks. All I can tell you is that God does things in his time. Because if you don't go through suffering and strife and hardship, you don't know what the good times are. And it's no coincidence that this woman reminded me of that story. I'd seen it when it first came out, on my whatever messenger. But she says, Mr. Turner, she emailed me after I didn't answer the message or whatever messenger. She says, I've been a long time supporter of your show. And she's not a real good talker. She's got something in her mouth. But she says, I would tell this story myself, but I want you to tell it. Right, Anthony?
Yeah.
And she's like, it's very important that you tell this story. She's like, I think it pertains to what's going on now. And I think that she even said the reason that I didn't tell it until now is because I didn't notice it. I did notice it, but I didn't notice it like, it wasn't a coincidence that I noticed it. And then when then she tells me, hey, I want you to tell it. And now is the time to tell it. I told her, unfortunately, the show is ending. And she's like, no, it's not. She's a tough old bird. I mean, I can tell you that. She's older than me, and she's like, I'm your elder. You're going to tell this story. And so I did. And when I was laying there today, I had just decided to lay down, just take a breather because I was working, had a lot of things going on, work. There's a lot of work on the weekend. I thought to myself, maybe today, after that talk I had with Garitano, maybe today is the day. So. So go ahead and let me make this call real quick, folks. It'll be 1 second. We'll get somebody on here. Yeah. Yeah. Let me turn put them on. Try it again. Because, folks, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. Geez, he missed me at like 8:20. So look at that. 700 people in the chat. Real numbers. Real people. Not fake. Try one more time, see if he's available. He did message me way earlier, so I thought he was going to be longer than that. He'll call back. So, folks, what we're talking about right now, when you look at our numbers, this is indicative of the real community, the real paranormal cryptid community. Thank you, War Criminal, for that message. I appreciate it. Jatesh, you're right. Real people. This is real. Holly M., Larry Fisher, Marmar. These are real people. Shade Viking. I love you, man. I love your videos. They're funny as hell. Keep them coming.
A talented,
very talented
musician, singer, video maker.
You got to come down once we get another studio somewhere, and you don't know what God has in store for you. The Spirit moved me today to get up off my butt and do this instead of just, well, I wasn't just sitting around. I was pacing around back and forth, using oxygen to breathe, because everyone knows I can't move around without breathing oxygen. Just, you know, because I'm so out of shape, and I'm a teeter-tottering old man. I'm in my 50s, not even 50, dude. And even if I was, I could still do, I'm not going to get into it. These people are very, very, just look into their records. That's all you got to do. Just look into their records, folks. I'm going to give you some advice, folks, and I'm not going to preach up here, but I'm going to tell you one thing you need to hear. When you go to start listening to a person, when you want to make someone your go-to podcaster or YouTuber, and I may be gone, I may not be around, so you're going to have to find someone else, at least temporarily, or even maybe permanently. Look into the person. Check their background. Like me and Barton were talking about this last night. He goes, you can check my background all day. I got nothing to hide. Every year, I, myself, right? Anthony, Tony, Zane, Nelly, all of us. Thank you for that donation, Rita. We greatly appreciate it because it's definitely needed right now. We get a background check. Anthony, am I lying?
Yep.
Federal, state, local.
Every year.
Every year. And if you have anything, you get your guard card revoked by Texas DPS. Serious as a heart attack. As me, somebody who's running a company, can't have that. Because then you're gone. And you can lose it all like that. Boom. Even a DWI could cost you your business. Thank you for that donation, Christopher Wardlow. We appreciate that. Clean. Spick and span. Clean. Go and look into their records. I know what they're going to say. Oh, well, you know, that was I was a different person then. I did this, I did that. Well, why is it happening now? I don't give a crap. If you did it once, you could do it again. Say what you want about me. Go ahead. The numbers speak for themselves. These are bad people, folks. I'm telling you, they're bad. They do bad things, and then they lie, and they obfuscate, and they try to hide, and they're in our community. They are living, breathing examples of the worst of human beings. You're not supposed to follow these people. You shouldn't even be talking to these people or listening to what they're saying. Because if we were doing our due diligence as a community, myself included, it starts with me. I should never have been associating with these people, ever. It's my own fault. I promoted these people on my show at one point in time or another. But it won't happen anymore. Somebody has a show. We need to know whether you are legit, real, and I'm supposed to promote you or do something good for you. I can't allow my people to be attacked again. So I don't know what the future holds for PRT. Right now, I don't know. I don't know. I love the heck out of all of you. I love you so much. I give you all of my love. I care about people. I really do. Because of what Janice did, we have to stop doing the giveaways. We were advised legally to stop doing that. I'm not supposed to be doing videos. I'm not supposed to be saying anything. But I can't help it. I can't help it. Because the truth needs to be heard now. I can't wait around for some legal whatever. And yes, it's going to happen, but it takes time and money. It'd be better for these people just to make the move and come on, so you could play defense. It's much easier because they have to. The burden is on them. But they're not going to do that because they know. They know. They know they're dirty. They know they're wrong, and everything they do is going to come out. A good lawyer is just going to, you know. And I have my lawyers working on something else, and that's almost coming to a conclusion. I would say that's probably about a month out. Hopefully. But no. And luckily, I'm friends with mine. I'm friends with my attorneys, so you know they're not. It's not like you're just hiring some random guy. I mean, they're people that know you. It's good to know somebody who knows these things. It's like a mechanic. My mechanic is Daniel. He's my friend. He's a great guy. I can go to him and say, "Hey, can you fix this? I need an upholstery." I don't do that, but I'll get you somebody who does a good job. That's community, folks. That's what you do. You're supposed to have a good reputation where you go. People don't call you Mike the Liar. Nobody around here is calling me Wolf the Liar, Josh the Liar. Nobody calls me that. Nobody says that I'm going around not paying my debts, not paying my bills. Well, I work for this guy. He didn't pay me. None of that. Maybe had some fights. Most of it comes from training, got a little overzealous, and some stuff happens, you know. But no, that's not happening. My reputation down here is solid. Solid. I treat people honest day's work, honest day's pay. I'm very much a straight shooter. I keep my record and nose clean. I take care of my family. And I don't screw people over. Or as they say in Spanish, I don't chingle people. I don't do those things. That's not who I am. And then we get accused of felonies. Shame on you. And then you want to besmirch my conference. Anything and everything these people can do. But oh well. You're not going to change them. They are what they are. I got a couple creepy stories in here. I got one. And this is what really sucks. Is that it's Halloween time, right? It's time for the spooky stories and stuff. Yeah. And now we got to stop so we can deal with this garbage. And that's just burns my biscuits, man. So that was the Granny Witch story. And give me your thoughts. You know, let me know. One of the stories I was going to tell you, though, this is a weird one. And I don't know what this one would be classified as, but this was a portal in the sky. And I was given this one by someone from Wisconsin. And they said that they were driving around, and they're the Kettle Moraine. You know, that's the Dogman territory. And they look up into the sky. It's not a long story, but I thought it was very interesting. Thank you for that donation, Jitesh. Says, Josh, there's an interwoven universal. I can't read it.
Josh, there's an interwoven universal codex in your delivery, like medicine. If your heart trembles, so do your words. Your heart never trembles. God works through you. I know it, so does everyone else in this chat.
Thank you for that. I don't have my eyes in because, unfortunately, I took my glasses and packed them. So, but anyways, I'm sitting here, and as I'm talking to you guys, you know, I'm trying to do what I got to do and not think about this situation, but it's very distracting. But this story, anyway, it comes out of the Kettle Moraine, and they were driving through, and they look up in the sky. This is, like I said, it's not a long story, but it's weird because as they were looking up in the sky, they see in the dark sky 3 people driving in an SUV saw the sky kind of part like slowly and then just kind of open up. And this is weird. What they see, what looks like a black hand come out of the sky, like it was dark, like the dark sky. There was like a rip. It was a very weird story. The guy gave it to me. His name is Mitch. And he said that there was like this, it was white. The light was white, like the sky was white. And they see this black hand come out. Weird, wild stuff. And then right after that, it just kind of moves around like it's feeling for something and then pulls itself back in, and then the darkness goes back to normal. Then they look down. Oh, that's not a good number to be on there. Why does YouTube like to stop it at that number? Come on, YouTube. Let's do better.
Yeah, that's real cute.
Yeah, I like to do that. And then it lingers there. Knowing there it goes, finally. I said, damn well, that ain't the right number. So anyways, what ends up happening is these people are driving along, and as the driver is looking up, trying to see what they were looking at, kind of like, they look straight ahead and they see this, what can only be described as a Bigfoot. And it just runs across the road. And the way that they described the Bigfoot, it was just black fur. They didn't see any glowing eyes or anything like that. It just looked like an ape-like creature running across the road. And they said ape-like, so I'm going to tell the truth and say that's what it was. It was an ape-like creature. I thought the timing was weird, to say the least, considering they just looked up and saw like a portal in the sky with some sort of weird hand coming out of it. And then they look down and they see a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot, run across the road. So it's just a left eyeball. Wow, that's interesting. Did you see what Miguel put? I read it.
Don't know if what I... Hang on. Let me see what he said.
Take over for a second. I'm going to see if I can find my glasses.
Okay. Miguel said, I don't know if what I perceive in my left eye socket, I don't have a left eyeball, will be considered a portal, but I always see purplish, greenish, grayish portal type thing. So the left, see, okay, so you don't have a left eyeball, so you only see through your right, which means that you're, like, the left side of your brain is going to be what processes visual information. So what? How often do you see that, Miguel? That's. I was gonna say that's crazy, but you're not crazy. I don't mean it like that, man. Let's see. Always seeing things go in and out, and it's weird. Let's see. I even see them now. What do they look like? I mean, like okay, when you see these portal things, are they just like round, kind of like generic round portals, or is it just like an amorphous color in the air? I mean, like, what is it? Can you describe it? Because I'm interested in like what it's like to be someone who's able to see these spiritual phenomena, who's able to perceive these things that other people can't. I don't envy y'all because I know that it takes a lot. It takes its toll on y'all emotionally and spiritually, but it's just I don't see those things. I can't perceive those things for whatever reason, and maybe it's a mercy. Maybe it's because I'm not ready to perceive them. Maybe I'm just not spiritually strong enough for that kind of spiritual burden. But I don't know. I do like talking to people who do see these things, just to get a clue of what it's like, of like, what do you see, or do you see it in your mind's eye, or does it hit you emotionally, or I mean, like what is it like? I talk to Nelly about this kind of stuff all the time because she gets that, and she's able to describe to me, like, she'll get certain things she sees or smells, or it's like a sensory overload thing sometimes.
Oh, you mean because she's a satanic witch, like me?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
because my eyes are...
Yeah, and you do your eyebrows like the devil, apparently. Like you'll pluck them and whatever.
Pluck eyebrows?
Well, I mean, like, because that's the only way that you... No, but they implied it because they said that you basically groom your eyebrows to be pointy like the devil. So, like, the only way you could do that is by, like, plucking them very meticulously, and then using a shaver.
I saw the deal that was sent to me, and I think Brandon sent it to Brandon Tolbert or something. Yeah. The day I pluck my eyebrows, folks, is the day that I start, just, you know, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say something really rude. I'm not going to say that. That's ridiculous.
That'll be the day.
Yeah, that'll be the day. I hate the way they did these glasses. They don't work right. Because this is my new prescription of glasses, and I don't know, because I guess my eyes have gotten worse. That sucks. These aren't my good ones. I don't like these. I don't like this new prescription. I don't know. So you saw that in November, the eyebrow comment? Yeah. When you hate someone so bad that you just make up anything you can about them. You got some serious issues, people. Not y'all, but the people that were doing that. Whatever. It's just nuts. So that's weird. What do you guys think of that? Somebody sees like some sort of, is Vault on tonight? I don't know, folks. I have no idea what Vault's doing. Maybe he's been going live a lot lately because he's trying to clear his name because he's getting attacked and dragged through the mud like everybody else. I mean, when there's a common denominator and everybody's getting attacked by that person, what do you think? You know, people are trying to say I'm the one. I'm not. I'm getting attacked like everyone else by the same people. Well, the guy that's doing it now, he's emboldened because he's got financial backers that are helping him. The same two troublemakers who've been running around doing stuff forever. I mean, it's ridiculous. These people have been terrorizing people for so long. And I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I'm going to level with you. Somebody charged me with this. They said, you knew about how these people were, and you didn't do anything. I'm going to say this right now. Everybody's guilty of that, including myself. Now, I didn't know to what extent or what level. I knew that they had the penchant to be malevolent, and I didn't deal with the one guy up there at all. Now, I did make friends with Mike and just kind of kept him at arm's length and just said, hey, check out his show. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know much about it. I didn't watch it. But my real sin was the other one, Swamp Guy. I knew that he had had a lot of beef with a lot of people, and I had heard lots and lots of rumors. But at the time, that's all they were rumors. I didn't know to what extent until now when Vault and John Bell and everybody else and Truth and Bass and I don't want to say other people, but Tina, everybody else come forward and say, look, this is what's happening. This is what happened to us. I should have been like, okay, something has to be done. But he's not attacking you, and that's the problem. If he's not attacking you, you don't know how to go about doing it. And we had so much momentum and everything was going good. And we were like, what do? We can't just go off and start attacking people, you know. But they brought the war to us. And I'm going to tell you something else, folks. I'm actually relieved in one way that Tracker E said this. They brought the war to me, and God revealed the enemies to us. Those enemies were revealed to us. We know now who our enemies are. Who has been biding their time, seething, because they wanted to participate in fakery and hoaxing and lying. Lies. And treachery. Subterfuge. Sabotage. War making. Warmongering. That's what they do. All these people that are coming forward now and saying what they've been doing, I believe them. It's not that I didn't believe them before, but it wasn't happening to me, and I didn't know their situations, and I didn't pay attention enough because you people deserve not to have to deal with that, and I didn't want to bring more drama to us. We've already had enough. And you can't stand up to every single person because you'll just be perpetually fighting. Some of these people will just take the cue and go away. What's happening right now, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've never seen a person that gets up and from dusk till dawn just makes fake accounts and spams them out to the whole community. Never seen anything like it in my whole life. And this isn't like a war that I've ever fought. I've fought a lot of wars. And there's a lot of things you don't know about me because I don't talk about them. and I never will. Unless you're my friend in my daily private life, they know. But it's not something you need to hear. It has nothing to do with paranormal. Why do you need to hear it? I'll say this. These people are some of the most evil people I've ever dealt with in my whole life. And that's saying something. I've never seen such underhanded, backstabbing people. Despicable. Okay. Well, we're going to call this person. We're going to make that. And then I got another story to tell you. This one's really weird. I thought this one was cool. Yes.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, bud. How you doing?
I'm doing better. I'm doing better. Could be better. Could be worse. How are you?
Well, just working on a variety of projects and trying to get some stuff done for tomorrow.
Yeah. You're always working. See, like me.
Yeah, man.
Somebody's got to keep it going, right? We got to keep working. Folks, this is
For sure,
Christopher
yeah.
Garetano. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Call him Mr. Coast to Coast. You've been on the, 6 times now?
I have, yeah, for different projects, a couple of TV shows. Originally Montauk Chronicles, which was my, first second independent documentary. And then this time is about a book that I released recently that is being developed into a limited series for a pretty big network. And before it goes through that process, I really wanted to release it. And so we were talking. It's about the making of a famous horror film. So we were talking about that.
Yeah. And your book is called South Texas Blues.
That is correct.
Yeah. Chris, you called me today, and it was you messaged me, and I mean, and I appreciate it. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you. You've been checking on me. A lot of you guys have, and I appreciate them all doing it. And but I thank you for that. I thank you for the call. I thank you for seeing if I'm okay.
Yeah, you're a good guy. Your family's great. I don't all this kind of conflict. The best thing for it to be is not to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And everybody should focus on what they do best. And what you do best is all this incredible community that you created and the stories that you tell and the features that you provide for everybody. And everybody loves you for that. And that's what you should be doing. And, I don't really know all the details of what's happening. And I just think, and obviously, there are enemies now and people arguing with each other, but y'all are probably listening, and everybody just get back to what you do best. Honestly, it's the smartest thing. There's too much conflict in the world right now. And again, I'm not a stranger. I've been, in arguments with people and conflicts, and at 47, and I'm sure you all agree, the best thing to do is get back to work. Keep doing what you love to do. We only have a limited amount of time here. That's all we have. And you don't know when it's your time. You have no idea. So let's not waste time. I think the world wants us to be in conflict right now. That's the influence, a very poisonous influence right now that you could turn your back on. And so I choose to do that.
Yeah, when you were talking to me today, you kept saying something. It just kept, you kept saying, "There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way." And,
Yeah.
And I kept telling you, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And the thing that you told me that I listened to, you probably think I didn't at the time.
No, I think you did actually. Because I'm speaking to you with reason, and I don't really have a motive outside of hoping that you just are happy you get back to doing what you love to do.
Yeah. Christopher Garetano, people that are asking who this is. Garetano made the Dark Files. You make Montauk Chronicles.
Strange World.
Yeah. Strange World. Strange World's awesome. So was Montauk. Look, every project you've done has been good. And you've been on Coast to Coast for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And you were at my conference, and we kind of did a presentation together. And you, I believe, are a really good filmmaker. You do a good job. You bring something to the table and that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this community was just bring my listeners into the fold of what is going on out there. Everything else, not just this little small sliver of the truth, but the whole truth. And I believe you had a piece of the puzzle, and that's why I wanted them to be exposed to your work and other people's work that are doing what they're doing. I watched the other day when I was on YouTube, and I don't get much time to look at it or anything like that because I'm busy. But I watched Blondes and Booze, and they had Seth Breedlove on there, and he was talking, and it was an interesting thing. He was saying, and I thought about you, and I think about all the people who, if you guys had a bigger platform, like you guys would be huge. Like if you guys had, you're big, you're doing what you're doing, but you should be so much bigger. And it aggravates me because if we were all like on one team, all the good guys, and that was my dream, is to bring all the good people together to work and collaborate and build something that is good, something that's worthy, and I commend these channels that are struggling and they're doing the best they can, like Blondes and Booze, and it was nice to see, even though they're a small channel, to see Seth on there, and you come to my conference and make it better, and give people more exposure. Obviously we didn't get Jill and her husband there, Jill Rimschneider and Brett, but because they were a COVID scare or whatever, but we would have had more filmmakers there. And I wanted that. I wanted for our people to be more exposed to this because I believe you and Seth are the future. I believe that's where we're headed. And I think that, like you said, Seth, the same thing, that we're headed towards something where you don't have to be a big Hollywood executive. Like John Bell was on my show last night. And he's trying to put together a show for TV, and there's all these different outlets now to where it's not all about the big networks. They're the
Right.
control that they have, and that's one thing you guys have all been saying. To me, is that we're heading toward this new era. I mean, it's already here, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm finishing up 2 feature-length chapters of my new show now, and it's a better quality than Strange World. It took me some time personally because I made it personally with my own company, so it took some time to put it together and finish it, but it's getting there, and the trailer for A Haunting We Will Go, which is chapter 1, is coming out next week, and you'll see what it's all about. I showed a couple of scenes at your conference, but, no, that's 100% true, and why should I Strange World was 100% my concept. I got paid a decent salary, but I'm sure other people made plenty off of it and they owned it. They can control it in the end. And I don't want to go through that pain anymore of having somebody, some psychotic network head who decides to shelf things, put them out because someone either told them to or whatever. I don't want to be a part of that. I have no interest whatsoever. And I know I can thrive outside of that realm, but sometimes it takes time to build these things. Now, I could have put my focus in a YouTube channel, which I didn't. I'm making these documentaries. That's what I'm doing. And soon you'll see them finished, and soon you'll see them come out on all these different streaming networks. And then I am making a deal with a network for South Texas Blues, and that's a different thing. But that's what I'm doing. And but I think there are a lot of great YouTube channels. What would I really have to lend in that case? Not much. I think people are already doing great in the YouTube realm, and I want to continue with what I do best, and I make these documentaries and I make movies, and that's what I do.
yeah, and you do a good job. That's how I found you. And
Thanks,
how
man.
I met Chris was pretty funny. I've said this before. I don't get time to watch much, and you tell me if this is a coincidence. Okay, there's no coincidence. Just like the lady that sent me that last story that I retold. I was sitting there in bed, and my wife was reading, and she was trying to finish up one of David Weatherly's book. David's wrote so many books, and he was at our conference too. And we're sitting there, and I'm flipping through the channels. I'm about to fall asleep, and I see Chris on TV. I didn't know who he was, But what got me was it was the episode. Wouldn't you know it? They're in Austin,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, I believe it was on Travel Channel, Chris. If I'm not mistaken, it was on Travel Channel,
It was it was first on Travel and then
or
went to
maybe
Discovery Plus.
Destination America, something. I don't know, one of those. Yeah, maybe it was probably one of those. Okay, so I was sitting, I was watching, I was flipping through the channels, and it said Strange World, whatever. And I see you talking to this guy, and it said Austin, Texas, and I was like, I sat up, and I was like, what is this? And so when y'all started talking, I started tapping my wife. I said, honey, look at this right here. And she's like, what is it? And I was like, this guy is interviewing a dude, that house where y'all were at. And of course, I've told the story before. I'm not going to get into it right now. Well, that's not a coincidence. That just happened to be, I'm flipping through the channels and I stop for a second and I see this paranormal thing, and I see you talking to this guy who I still think it was not smart what he did. I mean, he seemed like a nice guy, but he made a mistake taking that mirror out of that house. And I told my wife, I said, honey, that's where we were at when we heard the, whatever. And so that's also where there's a story, and I had gone over it with Linda Godfrey about this werewolf-looking creature that these people had seen that turned into a man. And so it was a security guard and a pest control dude. And it was right there in that same little area right there. And I thought, that's not a coincidence. And so then I reached out to you, and I think the first message was me saying, hey, I like your work. You do a good job. We should talk. And then we corresponded back and forth, and then we just became friends. And it was, it's just we've been friends ever since. And then you came to the conference, and, it was a joy to have you there. And we talked.
Oh, likewise. It was a great conference. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great time. It was like a family reunion. Both conferences have been that. And you and I spent a lot of time talking about collaborations and future projects. And then we started kicking around a screenplay, which we still have been talking about, which I think would be an amazing collaboration if because the ideas we've been going back and forth. And you're very intelligent. You're hyper intelligent, and I like that. I like talking to people who have that level. You kind of remind me of my friend Christopher Jordan, who has Curious Realm. He was there at the conference too, and he's a big UFO guy. But he does all the different aspects of this, just like I do, and you do too. You cover a lot of different ground, and I think that it's very interesting. And you were at my conference, and you were talking about all these different subjects and the work you did on the Montauk project. And then, what came away from the conference, you interviewed Bettina, you interviewed Abe, and I thought, man, this is what I wanted to see. I was so pumped about that because I wanted to see the collaborations that were going to come out of this conference, because the collaborations that came out of the last conference were amazing.
The conference was a wonderful time. Fantastic success from my perspective. And, I've been to a few of these things. I went to everything from horror movie conferences to international film markets to the International UFO Congress where Montauk Chronicles played. And I've been to all kinds of these things, and I thought this was great. I really enjoyed it. Usually I didn't connect with people. I was just like making show after show, and I was like, I'll go to this. I have a good feeling about it. And I was right. It was a great time. And, as far as I could see, my experience there was all positive. So, I'd do it again. I'm looking forward to doing a few more of these, especially with A Haunting We Will Go, and Monsters Among Us, which is the second chapter, a completely different thing. That's not exactly about cryptids. It's about the very real possibility of being devoured, living in Florida or other places with crocs and gators. And I spent over a year making that one so far, and I have to now shoot the recreations, but that one's coming out so good too.
That's crazy, because I was just talking to someone earlier about crocodiles, and that's weird that you're talking, because I didn't know that that's what that was about.
Yeah, that's oh man, we have some great people in that one. And like I said, that's what I'm following up. My answer to the typical ghost show, A Haunting We Will Go, is not that. It's very different, because I'm just sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. So I wanted to give the audience, which is also me, something different. And then changing gears completely and going into Monsters Among Us. And then the third one is I'm really interested in doing something on the Phantom Killer,
Oh yeah,
Texas Arkansas border.
Texarkana, yeah.
Yep, he was
Well,
never found.
that's something. You know what? The person that I know that's done the most work on that in this field is Lyle Blackburn. Now, he was telling us all about it when we were driving through there on the way to the conference last year.
Yeah, I have a unique take on it. And originally I pitched it as a Strange World episode. Let's say in the boardroom there were 9 out of 10 people that said, yay, they really wanted it. And one person said, it's just too dark and elaborate. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want to deal with, you know, like, you know what? I'm just going to make these things and own them. It's, yeah, I've got to put out more time and I got to put out my money to make them first. But at least in the end, I own them and I don't have to deal with guys like that in the boardroom. And I have just I have no truck with it. You know, like I just can't. I can't waste another year of life wrestling with these people. So that's why I made these things independently now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you're doing, and you and Seth, I think, are trailblazers. I mean, you guys are. You just went off and said, you know what, we're going to do this ourselves, and that's commendable. I love to see that. I love to see that. I think the biggest problem too in this field, and I'm going to say this with all conviction, is envy. There are people who will look at you, and instead of admiring you and admiring what you do and bringing it to the world and saying, look at this guy and look at his work and check it out. Behold what this guy's done. You know, behold
The
what
envy
people will do.
comes, yeah, that envy comes from, I think, insecurity, especially if it's like a peer or a colleague, is
Mm-hmm.
that they covet something that you have, or they
Or your
see something.
ability.
Yeah, I'm not intimidated by anybody. Like, you know, I mean, in the field, I just see everybody. It's such a voracious audience that if someone wants to see Seth's documentaries, I don't get jealous. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm just good
Yeah,
for him.
that's what I say.
You know, like
Yeah.
I don't see it as competition, and I don't believe he does either. I mean, I don't
Mm.
really know him, and I don't know a lot. I know other filmmakers like Eric Swanson, and
Oh
any
yeah.
of y'all should check out Eric's stuff because
Yeah, I know
he's been
Eric.
doing some really awesome Bigfoot stuff lately. And you know, Eric is a talented documentary
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker, and you know, seek out his channel because it's not specifically always one subject. He's covered a lot of different things, but yeah, Eric is my buddy. I've known him for 30 years. And, you know, I don't get jealous of Eric. I want to see him be successful because I know no matter who's successful, it doesn't take anything away from me. You know, it doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do. So,
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of our community is like, you know, John Bell said it last night on my show. These people, instead of bringing up, you know, all ships, you know, bringing them up, they just try to sink your ship because they can't do what you do. And instead of like, and a lot of it too, it has a lot to do with talent and natural ability and natural talent and intelligence. But these people, they have some intelligence because they do all kinds of things that aren't correct, but then they're good at what they do being incorrect. But imagine if they put all that energy into doing what you and I do. You know, they could do so much good, but they choose to not do that. And I don't, it's laziness and jealousy.
yeah, if you think about, let's say the great filmmakers in the 70s, there was like a friendly competition. I guess they just poked at each other to challenge each other to do something interesting, but that was about it. They didn't hate each other. They were like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm going to do this. Let's do this." And they were all different from each other. And I think having a unique voice in whatever art form you're applying this to, and whether it be, you know, reporting these things, storytelling, documentary filmmaking, be unique, be yourself. And that is what we're doing, is trying to get the same audience to say, hey, I love all this stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So none of us should be doing the same thing, you know. Like, I mean, we could cover the same subject matter, but we should have our own voice in the situation.
Yeah. I mean, and then nobody wants to live in an echo chamber. I mean, you know, actual spirited debate, real spirited debate is actually welcome. And I think it's a good thing when we go back and forth and we talk about something. I mean, you and I have had lots of conversations. I've had lots of conversations with everybody was at my conference. I've had long talks with. I mean, there was nobody there that I didn't know and I hadn't talked to at length and talked to multiple times. I was not, I mean, everybody. I mean, you know, you guys, and then when we ate dinner, you know, it was just like a family. We were just like a family, and we had such a good time. And I'm sorry things got a little off to a rocky start. You had like 3 people going to your hotel room. I apologize about that. That was a mess. But
Oh, oh yeah, there was confusion as to who was getting that
yeah,
room.
Lance
Yeah.
was coming up there. He was like, "Wait a minute, there's somebody here," and then we're like we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I was taking a nap because I hadn't slept.
Yeah, I apologize, man. But that Friday
Oh,
was great. It was all
no
the way through
worries.
Sunday. I
Yeah, it was
mean,
all sorted out, man.
the whole conference was amazing. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to let you run, man. But I thank you for the talk today because
Oh,
I'm
thank
going to be
you.
real honest. I don't think that if you wouldn't talk to me, I don't think that I would be here right now. I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for your talk and then talk from Vault. You know, thank you, Vault, for your talk and the talk from John Bell and the talk from Truth and everybody else that was involved. You know, and there were a couple other people that I'm not even going to mention their names because I don't want them being messed with. But you know, I appreciate that you know talked to me and thank you for coming on tonight and you know speaking to the audience.
Yeah,
Looking
man,
forward to your
anytime.
projects, man.
Likewise, you keep, Wolf, just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing a great job. All these people love your work, and obviously, and just continue doing it and squash whatever this thing is. It's extinguish it. I'm sure the other people, if they're sincere and genuine, they'll enjoy ending it too. So,
Well, they're not, so that's the problem.
well, then that's curious. That's the best I'll say.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to get involved, but hey, I thank you for what you've done. Thank you for everything you have done, and I appreciate and thank you for what you did. There's another thing that I'm not going to speak on, but you did a good favor for me, and I appreciate it, dude. And anything you need, Chris, you know you got a friend in me.
Yeah, brother. Anytime.
All right, man. I'll see you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You know, I hate that we have to be careful with people because it's just, you know, we're going through hell. But you know what? When you're going through hell, you just keep going. So we're going to end this we got about 20 minutes left and then we got to run. But I'm going to tell you this story. Now we got 2 different ones. I don't know which one I should tell. I don't know. That's a tough choice. I don't know if I have time for both. So somebody said flip a coin. Dorothy. Hey, Dorothy. How you doing? Folks, I really hope this isn't it. I really do. I'm getting anxiety knowing this is coming to an end. And I'm just like, I hope this isn't it. You know, I mean, I hope that we're able to. I want to do what I'm passionate about doing. I want to do what I'm capable of doing. I want to do. There's so many people who send me their stories and they want them to be told. Thank you for that donation. No, that is to test. Thank you again. You just keep donating. You know, there's a lot of people out there that need their voice to be heard. And that's what we did. That's what we do here. And to me, to the people out there that are attacking me, I'm going to address you in a different way. I know there's a lot of water under the bridge. It will never be. We'll never be friends. Okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, even after everything that's happened, everything you've done and you're still doing, I'm telling you right now, if you know, now there's a couple of you who can't. There's no going back because I've already gone down that road and there's nothing that's going to change it. I can't go back and change it now. But the rest of you who are inserting yourselves and doing what you're doing, you still have time. You still have a chance to back off and leave us alone. Stay out of this. Why would you want to be connected to this situation? When I was talking to Chris earlier, I told him don't, because I don't want them messing with him. I don't want them messing with my author friends. I lift them out of it. I don't want them, even though people are offering left and right to do favors for me, help me out any way they can. The best thing people can do right now is when they say bad, negative things, report it. That's it. Don't do anything threatening, physical, whatever. Now, I did make an offer to them if they wanted to sign a waiver, whatever. I'm willing to just let it go. Like I said, except for 2 people that are on the hook. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. There's lawyers involved in that. The others, it's your move. You can stop. If you really wanted to stop, you really wanted this to end, you could do it. You could stop and you could apologize, and I would apologize too. I'm not going to apologize unless you apologize, because I know how this goes. If we mutually apologized, I would walk away from that situation. And you just agree to never mess with me or talk to me or never speak, never say anything. I asked you not to communicate with me. You did it anyway, which is literally on the text. I said, don't ever contact me, and you kept doing it. But you can still walk away from this. And then somebody said mutually assured destruction. Well, that's your choice. You're willing to go down in flames so you can take me down in flames? And why? Why was it so, me existing and Bettina and Abe and all of us, Helb and Holler, why was our existence so caustic to you? And let me ask you this. I'm going to say something else, folks. This may come out too. You remember Brenton Sawin? What was your problem with Brenton? I'm curious about that one. Something that I uncovered. I stumbled upon that one. Why? What did that man ever do to you? The only reason you stopped is because he passed away. I'm not even going to say who it is. That's disgusting and despicable. Brenton was my friend. And there's probably no point in talking to these people, appealing to you. I know you're watching. You stalk me everywhere I go, everything I do. You stalk me. Do you think you're going to be me? You're going to take my energy? Something that Garitano told me on the phone earlier, I'm going to repeat this, and he told me I could say this. He said, go ahead, use it. I'm quoting him. He said, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, they'll never be you. And that's the sad reality, is that you will never be me. Wendy Gisdala says, what did she say? That's a very important statement right there, because she was
She
in
said
their
those
camp.
people over there had no interest squashing anything. That's why I left. Oh, and I was a spy. Which that's what they accused her of.
They accused her of being a spy and attacked her.
Mm-hmm.
Sad thing is, she was loyal to them.
Yep. But evil has no loyalty, so they turned.
And then Brooks, she was one of us from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Brenton was a good guy. And the things that were said about him, you had no right to say those things. Y'all are evil beyond anything I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen evil like this infect this community. This community could be peaceful. We could work together. Think of what we could do together. We could build something. You know what it reminds me of? You remember that movie? And I'm going to tell this story. Just hang on, folks. Do you remember that movie? It was with Van Damme. I liked it when I was a kid. And they're trying to appeal to this villain. It was
Was it Cyborg?
Cyborg. And he says, we could stop the suffering. He's like, I like the suffering. And he's like, we could end the pain. I like the pain. And he's like, go to hell. And he's like, been there. And then he kills him. It's like, that's you.
Yeah.
That's you. What do you get out of this? You're sick. You get sick pleasure out of this pain that you're causing everybody? You like the pain. You like the suffering. You go to hell. You've been there. So have I. And you're putting us through it again. No, buddy. You're all gonna go where you need to go. But don't think you're gonna drag me with you. My heart is right. I'm not spewing venom out two sides of my mouth. And you've and all the people that you've deceived, because some of these people, folks, I know that they're just dumb. They're whatever they are. And I'm going to say this, I still love you. Some of you were my friends, and you stuck it in my back, and I still care. I still care about you because I have Christ in my heart, the true belief, the true Christ in my heart, because I know that my Savior got stabbed over and over again for us. And he stayed strong. And you sat up here and you called me mentally ill because I cried, because I was crying for you. Judas, Brutus, downfall? That's what you wanted? You called it downfall? You couldn't stand it. You just couldn't stand it. Your numbers were fake. And I never even knew that. I didn't even know y'all were fake. I didn't even know that. I never plotted against you. I don't have time. I paid for the conference myself. I did something for this community. And thank you, Michael Sproul, for helping me. He was the one that helped me. Me and Ken Gerhardt worked hard to do that. I was very proud of it. And yeah, I cry because this hurts my heart. Why? Why? I defended my friends, and I had somebody ask me again yesterday, and she's a friend of mine for a long time, and she asked me, she says, was it worth it? Yes, it was. And she wasn't being snarky. She just says, well, if you think it was worth it, then it was worth it. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. Would I want to do it again? No, hell no, I don't want to do it. I would not want to do it again. You think Jesus, I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but do you think he want to be crucified again? No. But would he do it again? Of course he would. And every time we do this to each other, we're crucifying him again and again. You're crucifying my Savior over and over again. Infinite love. He gives us infinite love. All you need is a little bit. Just a little bit of humanity. Just a little bit. That's all you need. A little forgiveness in your heart for the mistakes. I'm willing to forgive you. Even all the things you did to me and you did to my wife and my family. I'm still willing to forgive you. If you just leave us alone. Stop doing this. It's a compulsion that you have that you can't stop. Somebody on that side, reach across the aisle, please. Do what Bettina did. She was the peacekeeper. Not you. Have a little decorum, just a shred of decency in you. Just a little bit is all it takes. That's all it takes. One person can make a difference if you really wanted to. But I don't think you want to. Folks, I give you my word. I promise on everything that I believe. If these people would just stop, I would stop. I would just go back to living my life. When we came back from the conference, we were so happy, and we made the mistake. Maybe we jinxed ourselves, and maybe because we come from a Latino background, the old timers always said, "Don't say it,"
Yeah.
And we said everything was good. We just whispered it. We just whispered it, Mijo. That's all we did. And the devil heard it. The old serpent, the source of pain and suffering for mankind, he just doesn't sleep. And he had to go run over there, stir up the strife. God revealed the enemies to me. Thank you, God, for that. If there's any humanity in you at all, or do me the favor, at least one small favor. Stop making fake accounts of me and my wife and sending people porn. If you could do that, just that alone, please. Stop doing this to these people. These people you're attacking, they're innocent. These people are innocent. They did nothing to you. I can understand your anger with me because I've fought you. But the people that you're doing, why? They did nothing to you. Nothing. Some of these people were sitting on the sidelines, not even wanting to be a part of this, and you drug them into it. For what? What is wrong with you? If you need medication, then for the love of God, take it. Hell, we'll pay for you to go see a psychiatrist, whatever it takes. I don't know what your deal is. And I'm not going to sit up here and do what you did and accuse you of mental illness because I don't know what you got. The devil, I don't know what it is. It takes sociopathic behavior to do these things. I tell you that. T2 says, only good things for you and yours. We love you guys. Love and light now. Always PRT strong. And now I'm sitting here day to day not knowing if I'm going to have a show or if I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it feels like every day we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Every day we wake up and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what new horror you're going to unleash on us or our fans or listeners, whatever you want to call them, or our family. So anyways, enough. This is my last time I'm going to appeal on this show to try to talk to you. Maybe we just do things differently here in Texas. I don't know. We try to be kinder, do right. Why is that so hard? And anybody that calls me a bully, you're out of your mind. Okay? You don't know the situation. You don't know what's going on, or you wouldn't be calling me that. I didn't start this. A bully starts things, and they mess with people they know they can get away with. These people are the definition of that, but you don't have to be. You could literally stop right now. So anyways, this story came to us, and this was pretty interesting because this was right here in Texas. Of course, it came from East Texas, where the thicket is, and then it's, it makes sense. And I'm trying to look at the name here. These glasses don't work good for me. Okay. Anyway, this one was right near Huntsville. Now, I don't know exactly. There's no, it's just a story that I was given. I didn't talk to the person, but I'm going to tell you. Okay. So this story was given to us, and the person that gave it to us goes by the name of Eleanor. And what happened was they were out camping, and I think it says the National Forest, doesn't say what forest. I'm assuming with Sam Houston, if it's Huntsville in that area. And didn't get a chance to actually talk to this person and just put it down because it looked like a good story. And thank you for this story. What was crazy? There was something that they saw moving up in a tree about 20 yards from their camp. And her boyfriend at the time, and there were two couples together, and her boyfriend Jason said, there looks like something moving up there. And they kept thinking that he was drinking.
Yeah.
And the scariest thing about this story was that he was drinking Coors Light.
Oh, man.
Or Miller Lite, the headache beers.
Or Bud Light.
The banquet beer. Isn't that what Sam Elliott calls the regular Coors is the banquet beer? You're like, what kind of banquet is that? I wouldn't want to be at that one.
I mean, the only thing worse is like Mad Dog or Steel Reserve.
Yeah, that's Steel Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast of Champions.
And
It's
what
like
they saw.
Michelob. What is it? No, not Michelob. Bush.
Oh yeah, Bush.
Bush.
Dude, my stepdad would drink that stuff. Oh
I
man.
remember.
Yeah.
And he made great decisions too. Another guy
Yeah.
that made a lot of great decisions.
Yeah.
So her boyfriend Jason, he looked up and he saw something move, and he kept saying, "I'm seeing something move." And he'd had a few beers, so everybody was like, "You're drunk, Jason. There's nothing up there." And there were two couples hanging out together camping, and they were two sisters, and they were basically related. They were two sisters, and then the guys weren't related, of course. That wouldn't be correct. But there was another camp that had come over, and they were kind of hanging out with them too. So there were a few other people that were next door or whatever. Yeah, Ice House, exactly.
Okay.
What happened?
Just ice house, or as I call it, broke house, is so nasty.
Broke house. So yeah, I know my brother used to drink that stuff like it was like by the keg. So he would come. They came over and they were all hanging out, and the people that were next door to him, they said, "Yeah, I think there is something up there." And they started noticing the people that he was with kept saying that he was seeing something all day, claiming that there was something following him when they went hiking. And everybody was like, "No, there's nothing there." Blah blah blah. Oh wow, Claiborne, Texas. So, anyways, they shined the flashlight up there because somebody ran and got one, and they said because nobody was there, they didn't have one in their hand, and they said, "Well, you get the flashlight." So they went to their little RV, got the flashlight, and they pointed it at it. When they did, weird thing happened. The light reflected back off of this thing, which was nothing there. It was invisible. Like when they took the light off, you just saw the tree branches and you could see it moving, but the creature, whatever was moving, it was invisible. But when they shined a light on it, the light would kind of fly back into their eyes.
Yeah.
Like it was reflecting the light.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. And so obviously this is some sort of cloaking or something like that. Now here's weird. Something very similar to this. We got a story from, what was it? Plowman's.
Mm-hmm.
What was the guy's name? We gave him our card.
Oh, I forgot.
It was the waiter.
Yeah, the nicest guy. I
Nicest
forgot his
guy
name.
ever.
Dang it.
I don't remember his name. But anyway, he works at Plowman's in Taylor at the restaurant there. He's a waiter. And he told us a crazy story out of Northern California that's very similar to this. So I went back and I looked in our files and I found one that we had that matched up. And this one was this creature. I don't know what it was. They saw it kind of climb down the tree, and the way it climbed, it looked like, from the way it looked, was that blurry, they called it like the predator-looking thing.
Yeah.
So when it climbed down the tree, it was like upside down. They could see the legs moving like this, and there were like arms, and they could even make out kind of a head coming down the tree. Now, the people that were next to them ran back to their camp, their whatever, the spot, to go grab a gun. People that were there, they didn't have a gun. They were from Texas. They were from out of state. But anyways, this girl, Eleanor, told us this. She says, my boyfriend was sitting there, and he kept saying that he was seeing something. My sister was like, no, you've been drinking. But the other people said that they thought that they saw something, but then they would look, and then it would stop moving. Now, it wasn't overly large, but here's what happened. Her sister's husband decided it was because this guy was her boyfriend. The other one was her sister was married. He grabbed a rock and threw it, and he hit it. Now, when he hit it, get this, it made like a metal clanging sound. Bizarre, really bizarre. I thought that was so freaky, dude. When it did, though, it did the whole, like how the predator, you know how whenever it would get hit or something and it would kind of show itself?
Yeah.
It did that for a second, and it showed itself. It was pale. It was just like white. When it got to the base of the tree, it began to crawl around the other side of the tree, but then it popped up. And then it like did this weird kind of swirling thing. And when it turned and looked in their direction, there was this pale humanoid crawler, rake-looking creature. And it was, you could see it clearly. It was white, and there was a tail was whipping around. And they could see what looked like veins or something through it. Like it was almost clear. And she said, you ever seen like one of these lizards where when you look at them and you could see their like insides and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
She said it looked like that. Like it was almost pinkish white. And you could see the inside of it, like veins and stuff, like its circulatory system. Why it was a metal clanging noise from a rock, I have no idea. So they got freaked out and they all ran inside. And then the other guys at this point came running back. There were three of them all together. Two of them had gone back to grab a gun, and they came running back. And so they all witnessed this creature, whatever, and they ran inside. They got in their RVs. When those guys come back, they're like, "Where's it at? Where's it at?" Well, it had taken off. But, and I want to get this guy to come on the show. He said he would, but like I said, the show is up in the air, and we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know. And if we do the show, it's going to probably be sporadic at best. So hopefully we can figure out something someday. But this guy, he told us this story. Now that was the end of that story, but this is weird. Tell us what he said. You remember what he said about what it looked like?
Yeah, he said that he said that it was like this white, spindly, just like skinny thing that was just like crawling around like on all fours.
Yeah.
It looked like a pale crawler. And then I showed him like the thumbnail for our episode that we used for the pale crawler. And he was like, yeah, it looked just like that.
Yeah. And this one happened, he said, in Redwood Forest, right?
Yeah.
Northern California, yeah. And he said that I think he said it happened when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we had some people that used to work for us that swore up and down in that very same area. They saw something that fit that description almost exactly, but it was black. And so it made me wonder if there's some sort of like different, like if there's a species or something, and they can be in different colors. And this one was swinging from tree to tree. We may have talked about this, may have covered it. The weird thing about the guy from Taylor, there he lives in Taylor now, that's the waiter over at Plowman's. Good food, by the way, great place. The weird thing about that creature, that black creature, or I mean that white creature that he saw, he said it had 4 arms, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were 6 limbs. And it crawled around like a spider, but it was humanoid. And he was real busy. There was a lot of people in there, and so we didn't get to sit there and just yak with him about it or whatever. But he said, "I'm going to call you. I'm going to message you, whatever." And he probably looked and saw the show we were saying we were going to end it because we don't know what's going to happen because we're all, I don't know what we're going to do. War is bad for business, folks. It's bad for this field. It's bad for the community. It's bad for business, period. You can't do your business when you're fighting. And that's what we're doing right now. It's really hurting the show. New subscribers are down big time. Everything went down the tubes because of this. If their goal was to disrupt the community, they succeeded at that. That's for sure. But so yeah, with everything up in the air, it's hard to tell people, hey, I have a show, send me your stories. We're still getting quite a few stories, and we were already backed up by a long ways. So we may just start releasing them on 1-hour episodes and not do live streams for a while. We have like several episodes already recorded. It may not come out. I don't know. We're going to be able to get them out. But yeah. So that's weird. They saw that in the forest, and it was it was a weird thing. Now, hypocrites because you gave them time and energy. Hypocrites, they didn't have a choice. And let me explain this to you, maybe since you're either late to the party or you don't understand what's going on. I had no choice. Now, there were some times when I didn't have to, but it was just constantly. People and what do? You can't do this with a clear head, a clear mind, and work on it and do what you have to do when you're fighting with these people. Because they don't stop. You have to take time to go and deal with them. And that was probably the whole goal, was to attack everybody and drive us out, keep us from doing a good job. And then they refer to us as smaller channels. No, we're not the smaller channels. Now, we've learned that. I would say Swamp Man probably has maybe twice the numbers I have. Maybe. That are real. I don't believe it, though. I don't believe he's that huge, ketamine and MDMA. Can you get rid of this guy? Goodbye, hypocrites. Whatever. I'm not gonna. Don't talk about drugs in here, dude. See you later. You know, goodbye. Sitting here wasting my time talking to you, and you're over here. It's ridiculous. You can't come to my channel and say things like that, okay, folks? Just do me that favor. Don't sit up here and talk about drugs. Yeah, exactly. Or real people here. Noel, who exactly are these people? Oh man, it's if you don't know, I'm not going to sit here and explain it. I mean, I've had a belly full of their crap. Okay, go look at my Facebook, or wait until they send you some fake request, folks. If you get a request from me, don't accept it, please. I'm going to show you something here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm not making these accounts. Okay, this is not me. There's no new account where I talk to my listeners together or whatever. It's ridiculous. These people. Like this one here. Can you see that?
I see.
No. Leave it right there. It's on there. It says, "Hello, my dear, beautiful fans." That there. Okay, that's one of the messages from that bullcrap account. That is not me. I don't talk like that. I'm not going to come out and go, "Hey, my beautiful fans, let's talk and hang out and blah, blah, blah." Okay? That's it. Yeah, trolls like to be fed. But this is every day, all day, every day. We wake up, go to bed, get 100 complaints from people. Yeah, I think so too, Marmar. Marmar says, "Josh, I feel like you're being set up with some of these new names, or new of these people on here. Watch out for these new names." You're absolutely right. I don't know, we don't know which way is up. I was talking to Joe from Help and Holler, and he was just like, what was he saying? Like, he's like, we don't know who's who. We don't know what's up, what's down, left, right.
Yeah, he was responding to people who said who were telling him, "Oh, just block them and delete them and move on." And he's like, "We have. That's exactly what we did." And you know what it accomplished? Absolutely nothing, because they just keep popping up like whack-a-mole. You block one account, they make another. Then you block that one, they make another. Then another. I mean, this people are just an unholy hydra. So it's really not that simple, and you don't really understand until you're filling those shoes, and you're not. So if you don't understand what it's like, then just be there. You don't need to comment on it. And on your way out, you don't have to announce it. Like, nobody's standing around waiting for you to announce your exit. Just go, man.
Jump out.
Like, nobody cares. We're not waiting. Just go.
I'm on camera.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's all right. Trying to eat a stabilized bar. If you haven't had a stabilized bar, they don't pay me to say this, but I'm going to tell you, they're good. Not only are they good, and they're not very sweet. I don't like sweet. Yeah, make lead tracker E a moderator.
Okay.
She offered, look, stabilized bar, it helps you. And like if you're feeling like kind of down because you're hungry and stuff, these are actually really good. One second, folks. Work. I took all this extra work on because I thought we weren't going to be doing a show. And another thing, too, I want to set the record straight. Nellie is not the reason why we're quitting the show. She was just part of the decision, and she cares about my freaking health. So it's not her fault. She was just part of our team and the decision we made it mutually. quit. I wanted to keep going, but
I mean, I've said this. I said this last time, and I'll reiterate it. One of the main reasons we decided to step back is because we care about the product that we put out, and I felt like the quality of our live streams and of our pre-recorded episodes was being compromised slowly but surely, because you can't split your focus between one huge source of stress and then over here you still have to put 100% of your focus on your storytelling and your presentation and your editing and all that stuff. It's trying to balance too much, and we actually care about what we put our name on. You know, these other people, they can fight and wage war and do whatever and still continue to make content because they don't care about their content. You need something to drink?
mm-hmm. Here, I just need water. So, yeah. What are you eating? What is that? Oh, we have a Topo Chico here. Oh, well, never mind. I got it.
But anyway, what I was saying was we take pride in what we give y'all, because you give us your time, and that's time that you're never going to get back. So when you give it to us, you're giving us one of your most valuable assets. That there's no refunds on time. So if you give it to us, we owe it to you to make it worth your time. And if we would have continued making the show in the middle of all this nonsense, we're not giving you a good return for your time. So we didn't want to do y'all a disservice. So, like I said, we're putting the show, we're packing it up indefinitely. Once this whole thing blows over and all the dust is settled, maybe we can entertain the possibility of returning to it. But as it stands now, you know, it is what it is. So this is where we're at.
There's a lot of other stories and things we could talk about, but you know, maybe one day. And these people that are doing this, they've, I mean, it goes beyond anything I've ever seen. They've attacked everything from my dead mother to my hair. They say that my hair is demonic, that I put it up, or satanic, whatever, my eyebrows. I wear hair plugs. I mean, dude, no. You're mad because I still have my hair and it's not all gray. Don't be jealous. Don't be hating. You know, remember, I'm a big fat ass. So, I mean, you know, according to y'all, I can't move around. I can't walk. I need a breather. I need oxygen. And none of that's true. You know? I mean, if that's the case, then signing a waiver with me would be nothing. Why would you be afraid of a big old fat man that's old and weak? They can't walk around without breathing hard. Mm-hmm. I mean, that doesn't make sense, right? I got a ghost story for you, and then we're going to get out of here. I don't know if this is a ghost story so much as it's like, I don't know, some kind of creature, something. This one was sent to us from, see if I can look up the town real quick. I had it in my notes. I was trying to remember the name of the town. Anyways. It's in upstate New York. Where's Jeremiah Fountain when I need him? I can't remember the name of the town. Anyways, This happened in a small town in upstate New York. I believe it was outside of Albany. So, anyways, what this person witnessed in their house, it was something that there's woods that were behind their house, and what they witnessed, Kent was this person's name, and they were walking home with his dog. He had a beagle. He was a very loyal dog, whatever. This happened in 2009, and when he was walking home, he thought he heard footfall, and it was fall, and it was leaves were crunching or whatever, and he saw something that at one point he thought he saw something paralleling him. Then he thinks it stopped. As he kept going, he looked, he didn't see it. You know, you see things in the corner of your eye. Then it was behind him. Eventually, he went to his house. He lived in an old style house. He didn't say it was Victorian or anything like that. He just said it was very old. And he went to sleep. At that time, he lived alone. Him and his wife were going through a divorce, and she had taken the children. So there was nobody in the house. And I asked him this question, too, through the messages. I was like, you sure? Like maybe the wife and kids didn't come home. You got to go through. You got to make sure. I mean, you know, that there's not no reason. Like something could have been a person, anything. And now, what this story could be too long, so I'm just going to give you the overview. I can't give you the whole story because it would be an hour-long episode. And I thought about actually telling this on the podcast because the podcast is an hour, and a lot of the people who listen to the podcast don't watch the live stream. So this is what happened to him. Whenever this, whatever it was, it started making noise down in the kitchen. He was upstairs. He was asleep, and the dog, he had 2 dogs, and this is really weird. Him and his ex-wife shared custody of the dogs.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It is. Anna Choate does the same thing with her dog.
This is in New York?
This was up in New York, yeah.
Oh.
They shared, like, I guess, like, he got the dogs, and it was weird because on one day, I guess it was like, he said Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday or something, he would get that dog. And then the 2 dogs would be together for 2 days, and then they would switch off, and then she would get.
I hope we don't have those kind of laws here in Texas.
I don't know if it's a law. I just know this is what he. I didn't talk to this man. He's what he messaged me. They shared custody. I don't know how that works, if it was a legality thing or whatever. This is what he said.
Okay.
So Kent said him and his wife were sharing custody of their 2 beagles. Now, it's hard on the kids, right? It's hard on the beagles, too. And he said it was weird because, like, and this is kind of funny, and this isn't funny, but it's sad what was going on, but the children would be there for 2 days with both the dogs, and then she would have 2 days with both the kids and the dogs. And so it was like an equal thing. And apparently it worked. They went on like this for a long time, and they didn't get back together. Eventually he found someone else, and he got remarried. Now, she did too. It didn't work out. One thing he learned, though, was something about himself, and I thought this was quite interesting, and I'm not going to get into the whole, but he thinks that this thing was something that was attached to him. It may have been following him for a long time. And he thinks that house had something that was already there that brought out whatever it was that was messing with him and following him. I know these things happen, and sometimes these demons, they play off of each other. And then they get together and they do a little demonic, evil, debauchery, whatever, little devilry, whatever. And then sometimes they just clash, causing all kinds of havoc. But either way, it's evil crap, and these people, he was subjected to it. He said when he first moved into the house, he started having weird things happen, but he had something weird happen to him earlier in his life. Giving the abbreviated version of it, it looked goat-like. He did say that. So I asked him, I said, the thing you saw in the forest following you, was it goat-like? And he said, no, I didn't see anything goat-like. I just saw a black, shadowy-looking thing. Now, what ended up happening, and the second night that this was going on, this was about 2 weeks after his wife had left. There was nothing happening at all. Nothing. Like he said, zero, zilch. Now, having lived in a place, I know that this is how it works. It's not all the time. You'll go through spats where everything's fine, spates of time where everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 a bunch of activity goes on, and then it goes on and on. That's what happened to this guy. So what he ended up doing, he ended up like going downstairs and seeing something walk from the living room going into the kitchen, like real quick. He's standing there in disbelief because it looked like a black shadow move. He runs downstairs. And he looks, checks everything, everywhere. Basement, everything. Go up and downstairs, everywhere. He finds nothing. Nothing at all. He goes back upstairs. And when he goes back upstairs, he hears what sounds like a groan or a moan. So he goes back down the stairs. When he gets downstairs, he goes back into the kitchen. There was a glass that was sitting on the counter. He goes, one glass, he lived alone, and it was filled with water. And he said, that's impossible. I had drank a glass of water. It was like a habit. He goes, I drank a glass of water, put the water back, or like he gets the water out, I guess, puts the water back, drinks his water, goes upstairs, takes his medication, goes to sleep. He had trouble sleeping. He's like, I don't have these dreams where it's like I can't, it's not these dreams where I'm struggling and all that. When he was standing there in his kitchen, he's like, I saw the glass move. And he's like, not in the way you think it would, like it was moving, like, he said, but it was like vibrating. And like, he's like, I was staring at it and the glass started to shake kind of like that. Like it was vibrating. He goes, and then I grabbed it and it stopped. And he's like, why is this glass filled with water? So he pours it out, sets it back on the counter, and walks out. As he's walking away, he hears, psh. He turns around and walks back in. He's thinking, what I thought when I was reading this, that it had fallen on the ground. That's not what happened. The base of it was still sitting there on the counter. And the rest of it had shattered and gone all over the place. And he was freaked out, scared, but also he was pissed. I would have been too.
You're going to clean up a big old
Then
mess.
he had to clean
now.
it up. And then his dog goes and walks up and steps in the glass and cuts his paw and starts yelping. And then he has to take the dog upstairs. And, that night he heard moving around down there. So he just gave up. He just went to sleep and said, to hell with it. The next day, he goes to work. He's been, he's tired. Oh, here's a mess. He's tired, and he's like, not interested in what's going on. And he says, I'm not feeling good. I've had a rough night. He gets home. He's ready to go to bed. I mean, like right when he gets home, he goes, I get home about 6 o'clock. I'm really tired. I'm ready to go to bed. As soon as he walks in the house, he's walking through the foyer in front of, the door opens up. He turns around and the door's open. Broad daylight. 6 o'clock in the evening. He's standing there right on his porch. What looks like a goat-like creature. Not like a creature with a goat head. It was like a man, but it had a big beard, like a man would have, like a beard with a beard.
Yeah.
Little horns. I mean, basically a satyr, just to save all the black hair, really, really black hair all over, and it was like a satyr-looking creature. The beard, he said, went all the way up to the cheekbones, and he said that it was sitting there and it had this weird look on its face, like. And I said, like, we're reading this, and I'm like, I messaged him like, what do you mean weird? That could be anything. It says evil. Sinister, like deranged. And he said that it was holding something in its hand which looked like, and to the way it looked, was like some sort of meat or something. He's like, I don't know what it was. He goes, and I look at it, and he goes, my first thought, this guy, he didn't know what to make of this or whatever. He's like Roman Catholic. Mm-hmm. And he had a rosary, and he had it pulled it out of his pocket. He was carrying it around since the day before. And this part was kind of funny. I don't know why this makes me laugh, but it kind of does, because I was just like, why, like how you react to things, and people, how they react to things is really bizarre to me. But he threw it. Like he just like chunked it at this creature, and the thing, whatever that was in its hand, it dropped it. and it went to like smack it. And when it did, it's like it went through it and then it was gone. The legs were were definitely goat-like with black fur. And then there was hair. Like he said, the legs were like goat legs, like, you know,
Yeah.
and like wool, I guess. And then the chest, well, that's my words, not his, but that's what I think he was talking about. The chest, everything else was covered in a light, like a hair, not fur. And I asked him that too, and that was very important that he said that was what it looked like. Then he goes to look and see what it was that it had in its hands, and it looked like entrails, like of something. Here's what's really, really disturbing. He goes for a walk, like just to clear his head. He goes for a walk 2 days later because he couldn't do anything but run up to his room and just sit there and freaked out. You can't call the police. I mean, he debated it, you know, but there's something physical left there by this creature, but their physical creature is gone, right? So he goes upstairs and he's like, I need to call the police. And then he talks himself out of it and says, what am I going to tell him? That there's a goat dude
Yeah.
in front of my house, and a couple days ago a ghost visit. I don't know what's going on here. A couple days later, he goes for a walk to clear his head, and he had a friend that had come over, and his friend said, hey, let's go for a walk, his friend John, and they go for a little walk already around, and there's a trail by his house. And he had neighbors. They just weren't real close. They weren't like ours, where our neighbors are right there looking at us. But he lived in this big house, and he had neighbors, but they were, like 1 acre lots. Let's put it that way. And he said that there was a trail behind the house, so they go for a walk, and they find a cat that had nothing inside of it, laying there on the ground.
Like no innards?
Nothing.
Wow.
Like it was just the bones and the whatever.
Yeah, gross.
And I remember this thing was holding, and so I asked him, I said, do you think that, he said, yeah. I mean, obviously it was about the same size as that. So this creature was holding that. And what significance that is, I have no idea. But it just seems like, I don't know. It was a disturbing story. And I will say this too. When I went to sleep, I know this was my bad. I was in the study and I was fielding phone calls about the show and about work and everything else. So I was reading this, and then I was trying to watch a baseball game. So I put my feet up on, how I always put my feet up on the desk.
Yeah.
Fell asleep. Big mistake after reading that story, after reading that crap. Well, I'm not saying your story's crap, Kent. I'm saying it freaked me out. And then I had a nightmare, but it was one of those real, like you fall asleep and it happens like instantly kind of nightmare, I had this nightmare about this thing running around like chasing this cat. And so here's what's weird. In the dream, it was a white cat. It was white. So I asked him, I said, what color was this cat? Guess what he told me?
White?
No, he said it was black. So that didn't have anything to do. But it was weird. So I had a dream about a white cat, a pure white cat. And so I messaged him. I said, what color was the cat? He said it was black. But here's what's more interesting. They had a white cat, pure white cat, that had disappeared about 3 months before. So that was interesting because I told him, I said, well, I had a dream that this thing was chasing a white cat. I could see it in my mind's eye. And so there's a lot more to that story, and that could be an entire episode. But that, that was it. That's all I'm going to tell you for right now because we got to run. But thank you, folks, for tuning in. And sorry that everything is up in the air. Some people just can't stand for, you to get good quality content. They want everything to be topsy-turvy and upside down and backwards. And, just look at their numbers. They're faking the funk all the way around. So, yeah. Anyways, folks, we love you. We really do. I love my listeners. I can't tell you how hard it is for me to walk away tonight and not know the future. It was my pleasure to be able to come back tonight because we knew 100% that we were going to have this place for one more night. And I just, after talking to Gaetano and after having phone calls with so many different people, messaging me, calling me, talking to me, I mean, it's been unreal. Anthony could attest to this. I mean, the phone hadn't stopped ringing.
Yeah. Nothing but support, and real support, not just nonsense like on what's his face.
Yeah, that's somebody messaging themselves.
Yeah. Email after email, text message after text message, Facebook message after Facebook message, and all over the YouTube comments and the live chats. We just can't say enough for how grateful we are for y'all. Thank you.
So, wish we could do a giveaway, but I've been advised after the Janice Blake thing not to do that because she took it too far. And after we were nice enough to give her something, she went to this other evil person's channel, turned on us, and made up a story. And folks, I assure you, I promise you, we did not do what we were being accused of. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove that. If we have to do it in court, we'll do it in court. If we can prove it without going to court, we will. But the die is cast with her and this other individual. There's no going back. But the rest of you who are doing all this nonsense, if you can forgive me, I can forgive you. We can move on. But if I have to, then I'm going to do everything in my power to continue to fight. I think it was a Judas move. I stand by that. But maybe you never were my friend. I don't know. Was Judas ever really Jesus's? Did he really love Jesus? And I'm not comparing myself to Christ. I can't even touch the dirt that he walked on. And I'm not even going to follow that up with a but. No, that's just the bottom line. But people that betray people, there's a special place for you. I don't go around stabbing people in the back. And I've apologized publicly for Mr. Jody Cook for what I did. Looking back on it now, I had a long talk with Jody Cook on Thursday. And some of the things he told me about this other individual over there in Missouri opened my eyes to a lot of things. Oh, yeah. This stuff's been going on for a while. Now, Jody, I stand by what I said about Nick Valenti. I thought it was wrong, the way you went around about it. And I still like Nick Valenti because I think Nick Valenti may have been betrayed too. And that'll all come out. And you over there in the swamp, you had your hand up in all this. And even after all that, I'm not like you guys. I will forgive. Do I want to forgive? No. But I still care. You all, everybody out there, and I'm not trying to preach, but I'm going to say this, and if it sounds preachy, it sounds preachy. You all need to understand something, that you have to love unconditionally and forgive, because if Christ can love you and forgive you unconditionally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times, then we can do the same. We are not going to stoop to that level where we say things like, oh, no matter what happens, never forgive. That's what was being said about me. You'll never forgive me, no matter what happens. Even if Jesus told you to, you wouldn't forgive me, blah, 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 whatever. Fine. You were warned about this individual, and you all ran over there like a moth to a flame. Most of the people who know the situation would tell me, don't trust these people. I don't do this. Don't do that. I don't trust them. What I'm saying is that I forgive them because that's what I'm told to do by my Lord and Savior. I forgive you. I mean, it doesn't mean I like you. Doesn't mean I want to talk to you. Doesn't mean I want to be your friend. And it damn sure doesn't mean I'm going to forget. Because you can't forget, because you got to know who did this to you, so you don't let it bite you in the ass again. Excuse my language. But I forgive you. And I'm willing to move on. All I want to do is just do this. I just want to continue to do what I do. Just leave me be. That's it. Leave me alone. Now, if you attack my friends, will it start up again? Yes, absolutely, because I'm not going to let you do that. If you attack my listeners, will it start? Yes, it will, because I'm not going to let you do that. If you attack my family, 100,000% is going to happen. But if you leave us alone, I'll leave you alone. You could just keep to yourself and do your work. The problem, though, folks, and I really believe this is the main problem, this is the crux of it right here. They can't do good work. I'm challenging you right now to show us all how good a work you can do. Focus on your channels. Focus on yourself. And do good work. Show us that you can do that. Show us that you deserve respect. Instead of putting out, we're going to say something really bad, but I'm not going to. Instead of putting out subpar material and then trying to knock everybody else down. I just want what's best for this community. I want peace. So, people, I am a real person. I am as real as it's ever going to get for you guys in this community. I am not the realest because I don't claim to be the best or an expert or anything. It just, all I know is I'm as real as you're going to get. And there are a lot of people that are just as real as me. They're not fake. I call them my friends. I won't go to bat for somebody who's not real. But there ain't no fake in me. This isn't fake. I'm not fake. I wear my investment. And yes, I have feelings like everybody else. KD7 is very, very accurate. Calico Jack, thank you for everything, folks. Everybody who's here tonight. You know, they make fun of me, the way I rock back and forth. They make fun of me because I twitch with my mouth like this. I do that. They make fun of me for everything I do. It's like being back in middle school. Go ahead. Mock me, make fun of me, make fun of my cheeks, make fun of whatever you want to make fun of. I don't care. My eyebrows, my hair. I get it. You hate me. You hate my guts. You persecute me. Go ahead. You persecute everybody. You persecute the world. But at the end of the day, who do you really dislike? Who do you really despise? Folks, at the end of the day, we need to pray for these people. You need to pray for these people. Because you know who they really don't like at the end of the day? Themselves. People say they're narcissists. They only care about themselves. Yes. But at the end of the day, they don't like it. They don't like themselves. And I would hazard to guess they don't have a moment's peace in their life because they've opened the door to evil. And it's hard to close that door. Like the story I was just telling you. That's a hard one. That story, that's only part of that story. That story goes on. There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened to that poor guy and then later his girlfriend. But I can tell you, it's really easy to open that door to evil, but it's really hard to close it. We're all just humans. We're trying to do the best we can, and everybody falls short of the glory of God. And I want all of you out there listening to know this. And this is not fake. This is not, I'm not going to throw scriptures and go read up some stuff so you can sound good and make yourself feel good. You know, I'm not some giant televangelist. I'm just me. I'm just a good old dude. That's all it is. I'm going to tell you this. Every one of you is special in God's eyes. Every one of you is important. But don't ever think that you're more important than someone else. We're all equal. Whether you want to believe it or you don't, we're all equal. I don't care if someone's smarter than you, stronger than you, faster than you. It doesn't make them better than you. You're important. We're all important. You're in this right now because you want to learn. You want to hear what other people's encounters. You want to hear it. You want to know what's going on. You're thirsting for knowledge. Don't let these people take it away from us. Don't let them destroy it, what we have, our happiness, our togetherness. If you folks could look in my heart, if you could look in my heart, you can see how much I actually do care. I do love you. I'm going to say something that's going to sound completely whacked out, too. I don't know how much humanity you have left in you, you guys. Not you, the listeners, but these people. But what's left, I'm appealing to, whatever you have left in you. If you can shake off those, what's fettering you from going to God, I hope and I pray that you do. DW, we were friends at one time. I'm appealing to you because I think you're probably the smartest one out of the whole group. Please stop. And tell these other people that you're dealing with to stop. You have a brain, use it. Forgive. I'm not a heathen. Now, you don't have to call me your brother. But going around hating, doing what you're doing is totally wrong. It is completely wrong. And it's embarrassing for everybody involved. You know what this man is doing, and you know that it's wrong. And instead, you're doubling down and doubling down. Show this community that you can be a good person. Show it to yourself. Maybe you grew up hard like I did, and you grew up thugging and whatever. Same here. But you don't have to stay that person. You don't have to be that person. Do you have the humanity in you to forgive? Because you have to stand before God one day, just like I do, and you're going to have to answer for that lack of forgiveness. I forgive you right now. I say it right now with conviction in my heart. I have no anger in my heart right now. Let's say a prayer, a real prayer. And if you're not Christian, or if you're a Muslim, or you're Jewish, or you're Hindu, or Buddhist, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me say a prayer from the bottom of my heart, and I mean this with all sincerity. God, I pray unto you in the name of Jesus. Thank you for everything you've given us and done for us in our lives, God. Thank you for your blessings upon us. Please help us all to grow and learn together and achieve in our endeavors. Please help us to find the forgiveness in our hearts for our enemies. And please lift them up. I lift them up to you, God, that you will touch their hearts and change their minds and their hearts. God, I know you can do this. I know you can do this. I'm pleading with you, God, please. I'm petitioning you, please, to open these people's minds and their hearts. Make everyone that's in this chat and everyone that's going to hear this to forgive so that we can move on and heal as a community and these people will stop their attacks. I pray that Mike stops. I pray for James and I pray for D. And I pray for DA. Lord God, I ask that you forgive them. That's your choice, but bring them to you to forgive. Please bring these men to ask you for forgiveness and to mean it. Please work a miracle in all of our lives, God. You've done it many times in mine. And I say this publicly with humility. Forgive me, God, for my sins. I know I'm a sinner. I've committed many sins. Forgive me for that, please. I'm guilty too, God. I'm sorry. I don't want this strife in my life, and I don't want it for them. Please keep these people's families safe. The innocent people that are being affected by this, please shield them, God. Shield them from this. They don't deserve this. No one deserves this. In the name of Christ, we pray things are done only if it is your will. My Father, the Father of Christ, I pray too. Amen. I'll see you guys later. Whatever that may be.